Welcome to Tom Girl, where we talk all things sports, entertainment, fashion, and adventure. On today's show, we're talking to Salem Stanley, founder and CEO of Vacation Races. Welcome, Salem.
Hey, JJ, super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. I'm super excited to talk to you. I'm a big fan of this whole community and event that you've created, so I'm so excited to dive in and hear more about it.
Thank you. I'm glad to be invited. I appreciate the invite to begin with.
So for those people who maybe haven't heard of Vacation Races yet, give everybody kind of an overview of your organization.
Yeah, so I started Vacation Races 10 years ago. Just celebrated our 10th birthday in August. And
happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. And yeah, we put on like running events really throughout the world. We started by kind of focusing on half marathons at national parks, and then that grew into like trail races and longer distance and multi running events at national parks. And then in 2019, we just started doing some things internationally, and we call them global adventures, and they're week-long running tours in some pretty incredible places throughout the world.
So this was your baby. Like, how did this get started? Where'd you come up with this idea?
Yeah, so I get asked that question quite a bit. So my brother, it really started. My brother, so I'm young, got a big family, but one of my brothers started a triathlon 20 plus years ago in southern Utah. That's where I grew up, St. George, if anyone knows where that is. And this was back when like triathlons, this was like, whoa, it was a crazy thing. Like nobody was doing it, was not mainstream at the time. And my whole family would fly in and we'd help do the production. And my role was largely on the finance and accounting side. So I'd help keep his books and that kind of thing. And so I really got to know how events operated. I graduated from college, went and worked at an investment bank, sold software, all that. And then I went back to school to get an MBA. Really wanted to start a company. This was an industry that I knew of, or that I felt like I knew well, at least. And my wife is an exceptional runner. She was a cross country runner in college. And so I just kind of started doing research on the industry to figure out where there might be an opportunity. And originally I thought, oh, we'll do like a roll up of races that are in like, cities and stuff like that. But the more I talked to people, the more I learned about this idea of traveling to run, which was not the thing that I did at the time. And so, started seeing destination events as kind of a thing that people are into. So I grew up just outside of Zion. So we just tried a Zion half marathon while I was still in school. And it was awesome. It was really great. We had 500 people, lost a whole bunch of money the first year, but it was still really awesome. And then we did 2 more events later that year, added more the next year, and we've just kind of been rolling since. So I'm an athlete. I view myself as an athlete at least. But my sport was like football. I ran track. I was good at track, but like short distance stuff. So endurance events really weren't my jam. But it's it's one of those things that like once you get exposed to it, you kind of start to get into it. And really love the national parks, love being outside, love being adventurous, and all those things. So it's really been kind of a dream come true being able to do the work that we do. So.
Yeah, talk about your decision to combine these great races with the going to national parks, because you've really touched on something that's completely different.
Yeah, really, and it's so part of my research, I hired this guy in India to index every half marathon in the Western United States. So I had this big, gigantic list. Took him a couple of weeks, and so then I started trying to find some like trends, or I don't know. I just looked. I didn't know what I was looking for, and I saw that the big players were rock and roll. And again, this is 10 years ago. Big players, rock and roll. Okay, makes sense. Run Disney. Okay, also makes sense. And then it was this wine country series. It was at the time it was called Destination Races, and and I was just like, oh, this kind of looks like maybe this is a thing. Like, yes, there's big, LA Marathon and San Francisco Marathon, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But this Destiny, this looks interesting. And yeah, so I just started looking. I actually went and worked for Destination Racing just for like a couple of events, just to kind of figure it out and see what they were doing. And in my own research, I was like, okay, where do people want to go? And the number of people who wanted to run at national parks was way higher than even wine country, which I knew had pretty substantial demand. So that was a big part of it. But the other big thing is that while I was working for this company, a friend of mine had started an ultra marathon company. His name's Matt Gunn, passed away a couple of years ago. But he started these ultras that were held at the national, or like just outside the national parks. And I can remember talking to my brother about it, and he was like, "Yeah, that's brilliant because like the national parks are gorgeous and amazing, but the beauty does not stop. Like the boundaries were drawn by some bureaucrat in DC. So like the beauty of the parks does not end at the park boundary. And in almost every case, there's one case that's not true. But
What case is that?
it's Joshua Tree.
Okay.
I think the surrounding area is not great. The park itself is pretty spectacular, which is why we do a night race because the stars are gorgeous. Anyway, so that was kind of the idea. I saw what he was doing with ultras, and I was like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, the scenery around Zion and around Bryce and the places that he was running, I was like, oh yeah, those are incredible. And who cares if you're in the park? It's something I was worried about. So it was just customer research, just talking to people to try to figure out, did it matter if we weren't in the park? I tried working with the parks to see if we could do it, but it was just that was not a thing that the parks are made for, which I fully understand now. And so we end up just being just outside the parks, and that gives us a lot of flexibility. And then we incentivize people to get into the parks and explore and play and that kind of thing. So what we end up finding is 60% of the people who sign up have never been to that park. And it makes sense for a lot of folks because it's like, yeah, I want to go to the Grand Canyon, but I'm just going to drop $2,000 on a trip. It's hard to justify and that. So, but if they sign up for something and you train for it, well, then you earned it. Like, yeah, of course you can go and you can spend that money because you earned the trip. And that's what we're seeing. So the races end up being a catalyst for people to go to these events. And again, it's ended up being pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's totally true. I love that. How has it grown? Like, I know you started off
Yeah.
In Zion, then how did you evolve from there?
Yeah, it was really just trying to figure out where did people really want to go. We've learned, and we say this all the time internally, like we can put on a race anywhere. That's really not the hard part. Like production is, it matters. Of course it matters. And our production is really high and that's something we really care about. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is where people want to go. So there's times where I'm like, well, I really want to go to this place, but nobody else does. So, okay, we don't get to go there. Like I can go on my own and that's fine, but we're not going to go and put an event on there. So that's really what we care about. We really, truly, I mean, like the only reason our company exists is to take care of people and to give them a killer experience. So we take that very seriously. We really do a good job listening to our customers. And so that's kind of, we've just trying to grow according to that demand. So yeah, first year we did 3 races. Next year we did another 3. The next year we added 2. So we were up to 8 in 2015. 2016 is when we bought this ultra marathon company. And that's when we effectively doubled. We had 8 more events. We had 16 events in 2016, which kicked our ass pretty hard. But then we kind of found our groove in 2017 we had some mishaps, but 2018 we found our groove. So then we're kind of back into it, and then at the end of 2018, so when we kind of had this idea for these international trips, and so that's kind of been our focus since then. We've got a core a core team that is growing our domestic events. And then we're kind of building another team that's doing the internationals.
Can you tell everybody some of these amazing destinations that they could go to if they sign up for an event?
Yeah. So domestically, we've got road races at Zion, Grand Teton, Glacier, and Smoky Mountains, that kind of a thing. Trail half marathons, we've got like Yosemite. I guess Yosemite's halfway. Joshua Trees most is all trail. Saguaro National Park in Arizona is all trail. Um, our race, I think, in Everglades, I actually haven't scouted that one, but pretty sure that one's all trail. And then our ultras, we got 3 ultra marathons. One is at Zion, one is at Bryce Canyon, and one's at Antelope Canyon or near Lake Powell in right on the border of Utah and Arizona. And then we've got another one, 2 other events I should talk about that are called Trail Fest. It's a 3-day trail running festival. And we've got 2 at the moment. One is in a little town called Kanab, where one day you run at Bryce Canyon, one day you run at Zion, and one day out at Antelope Canyon. And basically, it's the highlight section of our ultras. And you run about a half marathon each day. And then the evening, there's a festival, there's music, there's speakers. It's just a blast. It's amazing. Food's included, all that. And then we set up like 500 tents, and people are just camping on these baseball fields or that kind of thing. It's so rad. And then we just announced, like 2 weeks ago, we just announced a new trail fest in Moab. Still kind of Grand Circle, like that part of the country, but it'll be based in Moab. So we have one race where you go to Arches, and another one where it's more Canyonlandsy and that kind of a thing. We're really excited about that. So that's going to be an inaugural event in April. And then globally, we've got our trips to Costa Rica, which is one of my favorites, Iceland, which is incredible, Patagonia, Ireland. We're scouting Japan later this year, New Zealand later this year, Croatia. We got a trip, and then the one that I'm really excited about, Alaska's one. But then the other one that I'm excited about is we're calling it a super secret trip, where you sign up. We'll tell you what to pack, but we won't tell you where you're going. Everyone's awesome. Got to meet us. Everyone's got to meet us in, like, I think for this one, you got to meet in LA, like LAX by 4:00 on this date. I don't care how you get there. And then we'll tell you where then you'll get your plane ticket and you'll find out where you're going.
Oh, that's so fun.
So yeah, we're excited about that. So, but that one's kind of new. So.
Now, on these global adventures, if I read correctly, you kind of they sign up for the adventure part of it, but you plan everything else, right?
Yeah.
Everything. So talk about that.
It's so good, JJ. You just show up. Because I've done this both. I've worked trip, like, of course I'm producing them. I've actually done several as a participant. And oh my gosh, I'm not a guy who likes being in a group. I swear on your podcast?
Yeah, you can swear. Let it fly.
Fucking love it. It's so amazing. So these trips, you show up. Like, we typically will rendezvous on a Saturday. In fact, I think all of them. We rendezvous on a Saturday at whatever host hotel, and in typically the starting city. Do an orientation and a dinner and that kind of thing. And then the next morning you wake up and get on a bus and we drive to a spot and we do a killer, like, 4 to 7 mile trail run. It's timed, everyone has a bib, all that, but it's 50 people kind of thing. Yeah. And then in the afternoon we'll do rad stuff like whitewater rafting or hiking on glaciers or I'm trying to think what other, we went on a puffin tour in Iceland, kind of a thing. And it's oh my gosh, you get to know everybody. It's everybody's, like, I don't know. It's really, like, the camaraderie. People don't go on the trips necessarily because they want to make friends, but everybody makes friends on the trip. Like, it's this community of people is. Yeah. We've yet to have a trip that was like, it wasn't that great, or, oh, this was a problem. It was 100%, not 1,000 in terms of rad people to come on the trip. So people that are coming are just, like, warm and nice, and everyone's got this, like, the same hobby that they love. And, like, yeah. I've heard people, because I've done research and talked to people, and they're like, I go to work and I feel, people talk about, oh, what'd you do the weekend? And I tell them, oh, I went on a 10-mile run, and everyone looks at me like I got bugs crawling out of my ears. And, like, it's this crazy thing. Like, why would anybody ever do that on their free time? And so they just kind of feel alone. But you come to these events and you're like, oh, these are my people. Like, yeah, like, yeah. You start talking, like, oh, I ran that race, or, oh, I love, like, you're just like, oh, this is it. You're normal, and it's amazing, and it's And it's just this like, I don't know. We say a lot like runners in general, good people. I think, painting with the broadest brushes. There's assholes everywhere, but like generally speaking, pretty good people. I think the people that are attracted to our events are somehow even better people.
Mhm.
I don't know how, but we really have the best customers, and just the best people that come, and it makes our job easier, when we don't
Yeah.
have to deal with assholes all the time. And it really just the environment there is I don't know, it's just really positive. I'm curious if you agree with me, or if I'm talking, if I'm talking out of my ass. Like, what did you feel like when you did Zion or Joshua Tree? I'm always curious. Like,
I I
am I
agree.
right or am I just crazy
No,
talking? You
I
know what I
agree
mean?
with you 100%. Honestly, everything you said. I haven't done one of your group things yet, but because I'm the
Yeah.
same as you. Like, I usually when I travel, I hate group tours. I
Never.
hate group shit,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
no. But now
Oh,
I might have to try. I want to try one of your group ones.
I've
But
done it
no,
once. I did it once with my wife, and I did it once with my oldest son, who's a cross country runner in high school. Both times, just like off the because it's for any busy professional out there. You show up, you don't have to plan anything. You
Yeah.
don't have to think about anything. You just tell you where to go, and like, sweet, you're there, and
Yeah.
you get taken care of the whole time. It really is great, and I
I
pay
love
well.
that.
I'm
And the
sorry,
fact that
JJ.
you said you were so many cool people. No, I completely thought that when I ran Joshua Tree. Like I went with two of my great friends out here in LA and we did it together. And then one of them brought like his best friend. And it's funny is we met at Joshua Tree. We've been dating a year now. Just because I'm in
Hey, there
LA,
we
I'm
go.
single for so long, couldn't meet anybody, met cool person at Joshua Tree. But no, we all had a blast. We thought it was just like we thought it was so organized, so like well put together, so much fun. And like you said, that was the night race. So we were all,
Yeah,
everybody had their like headlamps on and you're
yeah,
running
yeah,
in the, the dark, which could be a cluster, right? But it was
yeah.
just like, it was so much fun that immediately when we got done, we were like, okay, where's the next one? Where are we going to go? So yeah, so now we're all signed up and we're
Well, and
ready to go to Zion.
we're starting like we like that night concept. So we're starting to lean into that. We just did a race at in August at Cedar Breaks, which is a small national monument in southern Utah. Where everyone had to ride a chairlift up to
Mm,
11,000 feet was where the start line was, and then they basically ran through the night. But it was during the Perseid meteor shower, and
uh,
unfortunately we had clouds, but some people still saw some meteors, and where they could, and
yeah.
but we really like that. So we're talking about trying to do like a night race in Death Valley in like the winter kind of a thing, or that kind of thing. Like we really like that, where people, it's not a mass start like Joshua Tree. It's like 100 people every half hour. It's kind of birthed out of COVID, where like we had to keep groups small,
Yeah.
and it's through the night. So some people have a 2 a.m. start time. Some people have a
Wow.
9 a.m. like 5 a.m. start time. Some people start at 7 p.m. Like it's that kind of thing. But they're really fun.
Yeah. On your end, what's it like when you like if you go and find a new location, like what does that entail scouting and getting everything from beginning idea to like race time?
It's really funny because people are always like, "Oh, let me come and scout with you," and I'm like, "Dude, scouting's the worst. It's hard work. Like, especially maybe I do it the worst. I don't know, but like when I go, it's like we gotta just look at everything. I want to see every option, so that I know that what I'm selecting is the cream. You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be, we're only gonna look at a few and pick the best. Like, that's it. And my process is I'm always looking at. I mean, you think about it, JJ. Where do you spend most of the time at a race? Finish line, right?
Yeah.
That's you're going to finish, and then you hang out for an hour or so. So we always try to find the prettiest finish line we can possibly find, and then starting line. You get there, maybe you're there for half an hour. You get there quickly, and then you start the race. So you can really do that anywhere. Um, so we try to find a gorgeous finish line with a gorgeous course attached. Start line can be whatever, and just needs to be logistically feasible. And so that's really how we do it. So we'll go and just spend a lot of time doing that. We always try to connect with like our first phone calls almost always local tourism bureau, just because we're catering to more to tourists than locals, that kind of thing. Um, and so we try to get partner with them, and then they can help us figure out who to talk to get permits, and get permission, and hotels and law enforcement and everybody that we need to talk to. He can help kind of be our advocate in the local area. And we want to be a benefit in terms of timing and like. So, for example, Smoky Mountains is a great one. We've got a really great partner there. We work well with Blount County in Tennessee, and we end up hitting kind of the shoulder season. It's right after Labor Day, and it's usually empty. The park's kind of empty for a couple of weeks before the foliage changes, and that's when we run. It's a gorgeous time to visit. Hotels are inexpensive. It's not crowded, and it's just this amazing time to visit. So we really care about the overall customer experience, way beyond just the race that they experience with us. Of course, we want that to be flawless, but we want to give people opportunities to even explore the parks outside of that. And we want to make sure that their whole experience, including hotels, including traveling to it, to be top shelf.
Talk also about your medals, because that's another like very unique thing that people love to collect.
Yeah, I got one right here.
Perfect.
So this one's one of our global ones. So that's another one that I don't have. Oh, well, I don't have one of them. Oh, here it is. So this is one from our. So they're like this. So we do these shields, and we put stuff on the back too, and no wasted space. And the icon. So this one is Hallett Peak at Bear Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. That's Hallett Peak right there. But we change up the icon every year. So if you come back, you can start to collect all the like different well-known icons in each of the parks. And
that's cool. Go ahead. I didn't know you changed each one. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've never repeated, but we'll probably start repeating after about 5-10 years in some places, just so you can kind of collect them all, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But we got those, and then like this is our medal for Iceland.
Oh, cool. So
very
cool.
Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got that kind of thing. And then I don't know if anybody paid attention, but during the pandemic, if you signed up, this was one we did. It was a virtual race because nobody could go anywhere. So we created a website that was staycation races, and we launched the Stay Home Half Marathon. And so again, it was
that's awesome.
Can't run anywhere else, so that's where we run.
Brilliant. Who designs all those for you?
We got a guy in Salt Lake. His name's Jaron Ames. We've been working with him for 10 years. I found him on Dribbble when I was a student. I've still never even had a conversation with the guy. We've only ever emailed, and he's a great designer. We love his stuff, and we really care about making sure. We want to make sure our shirts and medals and everything. We really care that it's beautiful. If we're going to do something, we want to make it pretty, and so that really does matter to us. And I think we do a pretty good job of this.
Oh, you do. Like the Joshua Tree shirt was such a good quality, and again had a cool design on it, so it's great.
We want shirts that people will wear. We don't want to just go and of course style and everything's subjective, but we really do our best to try and make them comfortable, high quality, wearable, and pretty.
Over the years, can you talk about how you partnered and how that has helped also grow your business and how you collaborate with other companies and sponsorships?
Yeah. So are you sponsors? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about everybody? Yeah. But with sponsors, so we're, I don't know. Again, I'll just be real. We're a challenging one from a sponsorship perspective. So we're not the LA Marathon. We're not bringing 30,000 people to one place at one time. Our races tend to be 1,500 on the lower end and 3,000 on the higher end. So they're not huge, and on top of that, we're in really hard to get to places sometimes.
Yeah.
Glacier National Park is not on the way to anything really. And so it's a little hard for some sponsors to activate. So where we've really found success is finding kind of emerging brands that are really wanting a little bit better. I don't know. They just kind of want to get their name out there, and we try to be selective on who we partner with. And so we end up we work with a few brands. I'll use one as a great example. There's a company called Gnarly. They're a Utah-based brand, really great nutrition that they provide. And you have an option. They have like this kind of thing. So it's like a hydrate. They started more, I think, even in like the bodybuilding world, but they've really gotten into endurance events in the last 5 years, and it's really done well. It's a great product. The people that work there are some of the baddest people that I know, and really their stuff is exceptional. But they're not widely known, so we partner with them, and we're working with them in a good way. And we've got a really good partnership there. But then we've got a partnership with Hydro Flask. Everyone knows Hydro Flask and likes Hydro Flask, and they're a great partner for us. We've got we're a good partner with Gooder, and we help them even develop their national park line of sunglasses that they just came out with, and we bought a whole bunch of them, so we'll be selling those. And then and then like Nathan, that's our hydration sponsor, and of course they're fairly well known.
Mhm.
But then we'll end up getting some other less well known brands. We're just started work with a portable massage gun. It's called Jaku. Amazing. My wife bought one. We just took it on a trip ourselves, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. It's not this big bulky, massage gun. It's much smaller. So we really are good at finding brands, I think, to work with, and Firebeaner's another one. They were brand new when we started working with Mike, and it's this little carabiner that you can like start fires with. Stuff. It's super cool. And he's now in REI, and he's in like all these places, but still likes to come to our events and sell, and we really like them. So again, even our vendors, we've just got a good vibe at the events, and even through our partners and things like that. It's been very very good. I'm really proud of the culture that we have within the company, and culture that our employees and our customers and our sponsors kind of all bring to the event. It really is a thing that like everybody contributes to that culture, and it's really one of the best ones in that I know of in the countries.
Can you talk about the village that people will see when they go to your races as
Yeah,
well?
yeah. So it's again, we're just coming out of COVID still, so it's not quite up to full capacity like we've been to in the past. But it's really good. We have a lot of merch that we sell. My wife runs that. Pointed this way because she's on the other side of the computer screen here. But she
Hi.
runs that. And 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 then the partners. We usually have different tents for you to talk to people, and I think we'll be getting back to it next year. We usually have a s'more station where you can go make, that's one of the things you do at a national park, make s'mores. Even if you stay in a hotel, you get a chance to make and eat a s'more, carbo load a little bit before you have to run, and that kind of a thing. And yeah, it's just again, you get all your questions answered. You can connect with some of these brands. You can buy some merch. You can just hang out. We've got these hammocks where you can just kind of like sit and chill, and it's really just kind of, again, just good vibes, and it's really not like we don't really attract elite athletes a ton. It's really more about we get some really great athletes that come, but it's not really about that. It's really about just the overall experience. Most people are stopping to take pictures. We get plenty of people that get a PR, and that's what they're going for, and that's awesome, and we love it. But most people are stopping and taking pictures and like want to remember it. Early on, I read a book. Have you ever read the book called I'm blanking on it, Desert Solitaire?
No.
Great book if you care about the desert Southwest at all. Amazing book. Edward Abbey is the author. And he wrote, I think this book was published in the 50s or 60s, but he wrote that, I'll paraphrase, but a man on foot will hear more, see more, and experience more, feel more, something like that, in 1 mile than the motorized tourist will in 100 miles. And that's really like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes, that's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole game, Edward. That's it. And so that's really what we've leaned into. We're like, look, it's about the experience. So anytime I run our races, I don't wear headphones. A lot of people do, and that's fine too. But I don't, because I just want to be there. I just want to experience it. And and really that's what most people are doing. So like 95% of the people that that come to our races go hiking that afternoon or the next day. Like
Yep.
that's the culture. In fact, that's one of my favorite things is going into the parks after and seeing people wearing the race shirt and carrying their medals around and that kind of thing. We used to have a thing we called our club hikes. Started at Zion. Have you done Angels Landing? You said what have you done at
Yes.
Zion before? You have. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not overly intense hike, but it's a little sketchy on that last section, of course. And so we set up a thing we call the Angels Club. That if the first couple of years it was you have to complete the hike 72 hours after the race ended, send us a picture with your bib and your medal from the top, and you would get 50% off the next year. And we had about 20-30% of people would do it. It was awesome. We loved it. And so then the parks talked to us and they're like, yeah, too many people on the trail. Can you spread them out? So we're like, okay. So then we created more hikes and more clubs that people could join. And then people were like, oh, is there something we can do with our family? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And I've got kids myself. So I'm like, oh. So we created a trifecta. It was like 3 small things you could do in a day with the kids. And then you get a smaller discount, but same kind of thing. And then we moved to so anyway, so we kind of were operating that way. And so then recently we just shifted to this we call it neo-caching. It's kind of like this new way of exploring, but basically it's a scavenger hunt. So imagine going to Zion or going to Joshua Tree, and after the race, you're like, okay, now what do we do? And it's like, yeah, okay, here's places we recommend to eat. Here are hikes we recommend to do. Here are some rad things you should just do. One of my favorite things, is go lay on the grass at Zion Lodge in the park and just be there and just look up and lay there for 10 minutes. And anyway, so each of the things that you do is worth points. And if you get 15 points or 1,500 points, then you get this, I'll see if I have one. You have this little badge that says you're Zion Explorer. It's similar. Do you know the Junior Ranger badges? Have you seen those at the national parks?
No.
These like little wood badges. I've got one up here. I'm gonna grab it.
Okay, go grab it. Go for it.
All right. Oh, maybe I don't have it. I don't know where I put it. But they're like you can see them online. My desk is too much of a mess. But they're if anyone knows what a Junior Ranger badge is, it's very similar to that. But it's like a little, it's like a little it looks very similar to the shield, that kind of a thing, and it just says Junior Ranger, or it doesn't say, it says Explorer badge kind of a thing. And you get that. There's no cost to it. You just do it, and that's part of it. Because again, we don't just want you to come and run. We want you to experience the park. Like that's the point. And yeah, we want you to run. We want you to have a great time running too. But we also want you to do more than that. And if anyone just comes and runs and then leaves, I'm like, it's fine if that's your game. Like, okay, that's not really what we're going for. It's really more about the experience of the event and then exploring these amazing places that we have in our country.
That's what I love so much about it. I did the rock and rolls before with my brother here in Los Angeles, and I loved it because I do love music, and so I like
it's great.
Music.
Historically, they did great events.
But then, but like it's when it was done, we were like, okay, I guess we'll go have a beer at Yard House and then go home.
Yeah.
He went home. So that's what we love too, is we did exactly what you said, like a Joshua Tree. We got up the next morning. We're like, okay, where do we want to hike? Went through Joshua Tree, saw the amazing. I do think, you definitely tapped into for adventure lovers.
Yeah.
Because I also love being an athlete. I love having the challenge of doing something physical and something that's going to like really wear me out at these places too, and enjoy that.
Well, because think about it, like, I remember talking to my buddy Matt, who started Ultra Adventures, and he's like, yeah, I just like if I go on vacation, I want to go sit on the beach. Like I'll sit on the beach after I do a 20-mile run, then maybe then I'll sit down and relax for a minute. But like I want to go do stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's the vibe. Like that's what we want is people who want to go do stuff. And of course there's downtime, and we want you need down, of course, all those things. But it's like it's a big world, man. We want to experience all of it, and like let's get to it. And if we need to put on events to convince people to go and visit some of these places, then so be it. And there's a lot of value that we're adding there. So we're having a good time, if nothing else.
Yeah. How have you watched the community grow?
Oh, that's probably been the best part of all of it. Early on, I was doing everything. I was answering emails, I was taking care of people, and doing all our customer service. And my cell phone number is still on our website. You want to call me? Like, I'm not hard to get a hold of. And I forgot your question. Oh, how the community group.
Yeah.
So that's really what we've tried to embrace. I want us to be accessible. I don't want to be a faceless corporation or anything like that. Like, we all work from home. We're a pretty tight group of people. We genuinely like hanging out with each other, even outside of work. And that, I think, that shows in our production. And we really have a sincere, I don't know, JJ, we really care about people. Like, it can sound bullshitty. So, like, I don't blame anyone for calling bullshit, but like, we sincerely do. We really care about taking care of people. We want to make sure they have a good experience. We've really tried to kind of ignore industry standards, I guess. I'll use this as an example. Early on, like brand new, I was like, oh, well, the norm in the industry is you sign up, doesn't matter if the next day you want out, tough, no refunds, right? Like, that's just like, no refunds is kind of a normal thing. Okay, that made a lot of sense when people were mailing checks in to register for a race, right? So pre-internet, yeah, okay, makes sense. The administrative burden is there. Well, that's not the case anymore. So races that don't offer refunds are just being greedy motherfuckers, in my opinion. and so we tried that early on, and I just felt shitty. I remember one guy, he signed up. The next day, he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize it was the same day as this other race." I was like, "Oh, sorry, tough shit." And I'm talking about it 10 years later, I still feel shitty about it. And so our policies, we've got really good. Like, it's full refund so we have like 3 different time periods. We have like early bird stage, regular stage, and late stage. So early bird is cheapest, regulars, and then it's more expensive the closer you get to the event. And that's normal, right? So if you request a refund during early bird, full refund, no questions asked. If you request a refund during our regular registration, full refund. We keep $10 just for like processing fees, but that's it. And then late registration, there's no refunds, but you can defer up until the day before the event. So if you're like, I can't run this year, or you go out hiking before the event and you sprain your ankle, you can still defer to another event anytime. And you can also sell your bib to other people pretty easily. And if in that late registration, there's usually pretty good demand for it, and so people can end up selling their bibs that way. So it's stuff like that. Like, we really care about the overall experience. We've tried to just say, what should we do? Not what's normal. What do our customers want? What would they want? If we were a customer, what would we want? What would make sense? What's fair? And we've tried to approach it that way. So I say all of that to say that our customers have been engaged with us very, I'll say, in a meaningful way from the outset. Mm-hmm. And I'll use this as the example. So early on, again, we used kind of Facebook was where we started, and really that's kind of our hub at the moment. Although we're trying to find alternate places to go, but I would put out there so this would have been October, November, maybe before we've even put on an event. And I put it out there. I was like, hey, I just came across this technology called Hydro Pouch. You can Google it, and I really liked it. It was like a reusable cup. Do I have one? Yeah, here's one. So they're these little cups, and you pinch it, and it opens up 5-6 ounces, and they've got these self-serve valves. So instead of getting to an aid station and there's a whole bunch of cups filled with water that are going to end up in a landfill, everybody gets one of these that wants one. And so you wear it, put it in your pocket, do whatever you want with it. When you get to the aid station, pop it open, it fills up in half a second, and off you go. And so whether you're the first person or the last person to get the aid station, it's clean, it's got water, there's no trash you have to slip that you're going to slip on or anything like that. And it's awesome. Anyway, so but I didn't know if people wanted it, right? Like I didn't know if that was a good thing. So I asked, I put it out on Facebook. I was like, hey, what do you guys think of this? Thinking, oh, we'd get some mixed reviews. And it was like overwhelmingly, if I remember right, it was 28-2 for. And so I was like, oh shit, okay, people want this. Great. And so we've taken it to that we've taken the trying to minimize trash and trying to make it zero waste kind of has been an initiative for us for a while. So we've had events where we literally sent half a bag of trash for 3,000 people. We sent half a bag of trash to the landfill.
Wow.
We don't always get that, we're not always quite that efficient, but that is something that we care about. So we don't have big dumpsters at our events where just all the trash goes. We sort it, and it either gets composted. There's stuff that can't get composted that ends up in the landfill, and then there's stuff that can be recycled. And so that's something that we really care about. We get pushback early on. People are like, "Oh, I run races, so I don't have to carry anything. So I'm not going to run your races." I'm like, "All right, well, go find somewhere else." And so I was like, this is what we're doing. Sorry. And that no one's complained in 7 years because now people are like, oh, we get it. This is pretty rad. Yeah. This makes for a much better experience. And yeah, okay, this is great. There's been times where I've seen people when I'm out running on our courses and I'll see someone stop and pick up a piece of trash or something like that. And I'll try to jot their name down and we'll send them an email and give them a free entry. And like people that are doing just rad shit and people that are just like trying to do their best to take care of where they're at and try to be mindful. Dude, that's who we want. and so that's who we get. And that's what's amazing. So it really is just a lot of people that care about others. By and large, it's still very people are considerate. I think we've done a good job keeping politics out of our events largely, and it's really just been this very positive group. And I really like getting calls from customers. I like talking to people. I like helping people out, and it's really been it's. Yeah, I kind of feel, JJ, I feel like I come across bullshitty. I really love our customers. I really do.
It doesn't come off bullshitty. Let me just tell you, it comes off so refreshing and amazing. It's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that because it's real. I'm being sincere. Like I really do care about people, and I really want to make sure they have a good time. So, I always like anytime somebody reaches out, I'll do my best to try to take care of them, and everybody does. That ethos really is pervasive in our company, and it's, I don't know, it's just good vibes, man.
Yeah, no, it starts from you. And I got to say that me and everybody that I was with, like, we just said that so much about your event. Like, it was so positive. It was so fun. It was just like, we went away on such a high, like so you're doing an amazing job. It's awesome.
I take very little credit for it. Really is the people that I've hired and that work for me are exceptional. And they all take their jobs very serious. They are all, we don't have a lot of turnover. I try to really take care of my people. We have a profit share within the company, so everyone's kind of got bought into the whole like what we're trying to do, and it's just been, I don't know. It's just I'm sincerely proud of everything that we've done, and especially coming out of the pandemic, we manage things. Again, I'm repeating myself, but I'm really proud of how we managed that. And I think I just think we've done some good things.
How many people are on your team now?
I would actually have to look. I think 17. We're up to 17 people that are full time. And then we get, not everybody goes to every event, but we kind of have a production team. We got 3 event directors for our domestic races, and we have 1 woman who's an event director for our international, and then we got 2 operations managers. 1 for our domestic stuff and 1 for international. And then we got a marketing team of 4 or 5 people. And then, if people want to work on the crew, that's all contract. So we'll hire people and work with them and kind of have a temporary committee to produce the event. And we'll often hire out of that pool, as we start to work with people and get to know their work ethic, and they're like, oh yeah, you're one of us. This is cool. This is great. Let's keep going. So, yeah.
And you were talking about giving back and like good people. You also have charity bibs. Can you talk about how you're also involved with charities?
Oh my gosh, I love talking about this. So, before I had a career, when I was still an undergrad, well, here, I'll give you full disclosure. I grew up Mormon. I'm sorry if there's any Mormons on your podcast, but I'm a recovering Mormon. It's not something I believe in anymore. But I served a Mormon mission and I lived in Cambodia for a couple of years. And, incredible experience for me. Really, really loved it there. And but there's it's just so much poverty that I really wanted to help. And as I started looking at opportunities, I was like, what to do, and talking to people and trying to figure out if there was a way to make a living while doing some of that. And it was pretty strong advice that go make some money first and then you can be a philanthropist, kind of a thing. I was like, okay, I didn't love that, but okay. So anyway, so that's the background. So then I'm working, I'm trying to fight the good fight, provide for my family, kind of thing. And then we start this. We were not profitable. We lost money in 23. We lost money in 24. We lost money in 25. And I do not have deep pockets. I don't have a rich uncle, at least one that'll talk to me. And we were just kind of trying to get by. And but I really felt strongly that we needed to be. I didn't want to just be taking from the parks. I certainly didn't want to be a burden. And I know at times we have been, and that stresses me out. So I felt like we had really an obligation to do more. And so in 2015, we started work with the National Park Foundation. I'll probably tell you more information than you care about, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So we started with the National Park Foundation, and basically we were like, hey, we don't know what we're doing, but we really like the model, the Team in Training. You familiar with those guys?
Yes.
You heard of them?
Yeah.
So they do these charity bibs, right? So you don't pay, you raise money, and then you get entry, right? That's charity bibs. So we're like, oh, that's cool. We like that. Let's do that. And so so we started doing charity bibs, and we raised the first year, just 2015, I think we raised $50,000 that we were able to donate. The next year we raised $200,000, and the next year we raised $200,000. It was awesome. No, in fact, it was 250 in 2016. It was amazing. And hold on, was that 26? Yeah, it was 26. And so then in 28, but at that time it was all just kind of funneling through vacation races. And so what we would do is anytime somebody would donate, we would pass through the whole amount and we would eat the credit card fee. So we figured that was kind of our contribution. So it's not just everybody else contributing. We also threw in so that if $100 was donated, $100 went to charity, and then any fees or whatever we would eat. And so, but in doing it that way, it wasn't tax deductible, and we get questions, and some people felt weird donating. So I was like, okay, I get it. So in 2018, we filed for a 501c3, and we created an organization called Wander Project. We worked on that for a couple of years, and in late 2019, we hired a new executive director. Her name is Amy. She is so fucking amazing. I just adore her, and she's doing a really great job. Get out of here, Kit Kat. Yeah. And anyway, so she's done a really exceptional job. So a lot of stories. So now we're 501c3. It's all tax deductible. And what and in the past, where we've just done vacation races events, we are now Wander Project branching into other events. And what we want to do, and what we're working towards, is let's say you want to run, let's say rock and roll, right? Let's say rock and roll LA. But your mom had MS or something like that. So you want to really run for an MS charity. Well, LA Marathon may not have a relationship with MS charity. Or let's not even say a big marathon. Let's say a small, trail, 200-person trail race. Well, they certainly don't have relationships with charities. They don't, they're just out there almost as a hobby. So what Wanda Project will be is will kind of facilitate what race you want to run and what charity you want to run for, and make it happen and help connect those dots. So you can run for any like small or mid-sized race company can work with Wanda Project and offer charity bibs, and they don't have to do any work. We'll do all the work. Like Wanda Project will do all the work, and we'll work with the charities and work with the charity bib athletes and get them to find success to go forward. So we're really excited about the growth of that, because running is amazing. It personally, it can be this life-changing thing. When you raise money, it I don't know. Have you ever done a charity bib, JJ?
I have not done a charity bib
So
yet.
I did one last year. I attempted the Zion 100. I did not finish, but I got to mile 40. Proud of that. But I was able to raise $3,000 for Wanda Project. It was awesome. And it really changes things. Like when I had people that I was surprised would that donated money to me. And it's, $5-10 here and there, but it all adds up. And this is my whole view. What I really love about the events is not the finish line. I'm always impressed with anyone who is a great athlete, or even not even a mediocre athlete. Anyone who does something is like amazing, love it. But I think I am far more impressed with the people at the start line, because it takes courage to sign up, to train, and to toe the line. That's where it's hard, is to just start. I think and to make the attempt. And I think that's beautiful. And I think what's gorgeous about these events is there's a lot of people. I don't care if it's your first 5K or half marathon or 100-miler. It might be scary. It's probably scary for you, your first time at least. And I like the events because it shows, if you put yourself out there, you more often than not, you'll find that you're stronger and can do more than you probably thought you could. I trained a couple of years ago with a buddy who'd never run more than a mile, like the middle school mile that everyone has to do. That's all he's ever done. And he'd never done a 5K. So we trained and we did a 5K at Teton. It was awesome. It was like this big deal to him. It was amazing. He was nervous. It was scary and all that, right? Yeah. But he did it. And it was so awesome. And and again, it just shows you prove to yourself that yeah, you're strong. You're a badass. You can do hard shit. And I just love that. And what I love about our charity bibs is I think that's the same thing. I don't like that our philanthropy, our current models of philanthropy, rely on the super wealthy to donate. It's really just a game for wealthy people to get their names on buildings and dumb shit like that. And I think there's more power in just your average person collectively. If people will try, and that's what's so great is you get all these people just doing $1,000 charity bibs, and over the year it adds up to hundreds of thousands, and we're planning on getting to where we're doing millions or tens of millions in money that's going to go to these organizations that matter to us, that are doing work that we are passionate about, that we care about. And we may not be able to go write that $1 million check or get our name on the building. God damn it, we can do something. And if everybody does something and we can inspire other people to do something, collectively we can do some big things. And that's just this beautiful thing to me. Whether it's a race or whether it's a charity bib, we all have a little bit of power. We've got a little bit. And I love giving people opportunities to flex a little and to try and to push themselves. Whether they succeed or not, the attempt is just.
How do
So
you
that
think?
was a
How do
little
you?
rambly, but
Yeah, no, I love it. But how do you feel like giving people that power that they feel after completing one of your races or doing thing? How do you think that translates then into their life and their
oh,
everyday or their
yeah, I
work?
mean, I don't know how you feel, but I always feel, when I do something rad or do something hard, it stays with you for a while, and you ride that high for weeks, if not longer. I mean, I hiked Timpanogos in northern Utah. Fuck, that was 2011. Still think about that. I'm like, dude, that was hard. Like, I was like delusional at the top. It was 12,000 feet. I was like, I was not thinking clearly. But man, I can do hard things. Like, so when the next hard thing shows up, you're like, yeah, okay, I've done harder things than this.
Yeah,
Or like
yeah,
it creates this like well of strength to draw on, I guess.
yeah.
And there's probably some psychologist who could articulate it better than me. But that's I don't know. I mean, I love it. Like,
Yeah.
to answer your question, I fucking love it. It really is this I don't know. It's great. Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. I'm rambling again.
How did you find the tenacity to push through when in the first 3 years you're saying you operated at a loss? Was there a point when you were like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't do this," or you're just always like,
Yeah.
how'd you keep going?
Oh my gosh. Question.
Mm.
I don't even know how to answer it. I I oh man, this is gonna turn into a therapy session, JJ.
Let it out,
I
let it out.
yeah. I really care. Like, I felt driven. It could be because I'm the youngest of 8 kids. It could be because we grew up without very much money. It could be a whole bunch of things. But I was driven to kind of prove my worth, I guess. So, um, in jobs that I had before, I I relied a lot on other people, like bosses and things like that, in order to find success. And I kept getting let down. And so I was pretty determined. I was like, all right, I'm not betting on anybody else. I'm going to bet on myself. And once I did that, I've I've got a quote on my wall that says, "Success is making those who believed in you look brilliant."
Hmm.
And that's it. It's just like I just wanted to prove my sincerity and my worth and my I don't know what I don't again I'm no psychologist, but like you just find it. I mean, I'll say I've got a incredibly supportive wife. My kids are amazing. My staff is, you know, unreal. Like, I've had more support than I would have ever dreamed, frankly. And that's really the only place you can get it. Like,
Yeah.
you just I don't know. You just don't quit. Like, it's it's the same as like you're running a race. It's like, dude, you can quit anytime, but like, you don't have to quit. Just keep moving until they make you get off the course. Like, that's pretty much it. Like, they tell me I got to get out. Okay, I'll stop if they pull me from the course, but otherwise, I'm gonna keep trying.
Yeah. Well, I'm so thankful that you did. I absolutely love what you've created. I love your passion and your enthusiasm. It's just so inspiring. So thank you. And I hope everybody that's listening signs up for one of your races and then multiple, because I know I'm hooked. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just think it's such a wonderful thing you've created for all of us.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
It really makes me happy, and I hope we can keep our standards up and keep the fun going.
Yeah. Before I let you go, so what's next? What events do you have coming up, or what is in your future?
So next week is our Trail Fest Canab. So I'm going to go there because we're actually looking to expand our Trail Fest events. So I'm going to go and do some market research and probably run one of the days, at least one of the days. And then after that, we started working with a group called Black Men Run, BMR. A great organization. But we're going to Detroit. I'm going to go run Detroit Half Marathon, the international half. They're doing a big retreat, and we invited us. So my wife and I are going to go do that. But then the next event I'm going to, when is the next event I'm going to? Oh yeah, it's just going to be Trailfest. And then my wife's going to Patagonia with a bunch of her girlfriends. I know. She turned 40 this year, so she's just been doing trip after trip after trip this year.
Good for her.
To celebrate it. So she's going. She's like, do you want to come? I was like, no, you go with your girlfriends. And then I'm going to go after, and we're going to go play in Chile and Argentina a little bit after the fact. And then yeah, I honestly don't even know what events I'm going to go to next year. There's lots that I want to go to. I don't know what I'll be able to do.
Yeah. All right. Any advice? Any advice for people who've never done a half, or any motivation to get them?
Yeah, to do it? Dude, you're stronger than you think. If you're worried, go to any half marathon you can find. Go 3-4 hours after the race starts and go hang out at the finish line and watch these people come in. They are the most badass people you'll ever meet. Because like the fast guys, they're out there and they're running for an hour and change. These people are out there for 3-4 hours, like fighting the same fucking demons. Mm-hmm. But they're having to battle it for hours. They're my favorite people in the world. And you can do it. That's the advice, is try. Even if you fail your first attempts, try. It's you can do more than you think. You're capable of more than you believe. And I think that's a universal statement.
And where can people go to find more information about vacation races?
Just vacationraces.com. That's always gonna be the best place. We're very active on Facebook and Instagram. So you can find us there. It's at Vacation Races. I think we're starting to do TikTok. We're having to care about younger people. And not having to, I guess we want to, but people are getting older. That's the point. And anyway, so we're there, but yeah, we're really easy to find. Again, you got my cell phone number on there. You can
we can just call you.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here.
And I discovered you also have a podcast.
Yeah. We do have a podcast. I actually have not kept tabs on it, to be honest. So I don't know how active it is, but I do know that we do like all the races. We have a really comprehensive race guide, and we try to do that kind of a podcast version of that. So if you're driving to the event, you can hear all the kind of critical information if you'd rather do that than read.
Yeah. Well, you are absolutely wonderful. I thank you for taking the time to do this. It's just so inspiring and fun.
Nice, JJ. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Well, great. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you all for listening again. You can follow us everywhere at Tom Girl TV. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again here next week. Have a great week, and sign up for Vacation Races. Do it now. Do it.
We'll see you there. Thank you.